Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BDF44 coming at you with another video. Okay, so this is the day after game one, and I just kind of wanted to get on here and talk about a little more what I'm seeing because yesterday I was just so excited and reflective and all of that, and just really proud of my team. This morning I kind of want to talk about a little more what I saw in the game. So yesterday, the game started off really slow for the Lakers. He got out to a 13 point lead early. And it was KCP that was really keeping us involved in it with his 3 point shooting. We were busting up the zone, and the only shot they were really giving us was that corner three. Now, had I been in the Heat locker room, I would have told them that KCP is not the guy you want to leave open in the corner. If any 3 point shot is really comfortable for him, it's that corner. And that was the one they gave him. And he hit it. And he hit it often. And it was really what kept us from having that lead kind of explode, that deficit rather kind of explode into something that we didn't want to face. Once that took place, their zone pretty much fell apart. And from there, we were able to pick them apart. Anthony Davis was consistently able to get to the line, hit all of his free throws, which is so very important because I've mentioned free throws many times. Other analysts have mentioned it a lot with the Lakers. It is a shaky part of their game. And to see the fact that their best player, or excuse me, second best player, because I do respect LeBron James as such, is a free throw, savant more or less. That's a really good sign for the future. Assuming he resigns, which I do. So, yeah, if he continues to shoot free throws like that, that's just one more nail in the Miami coffin. Also, defensively, we were fantastic. As I mentioned yesterday, I saw a whole lot of good coming from guys like KCP, Danny Green, Markieff Morris. Excuse me, defensively. Obviously, Dwight Howard, Rajon Rondo, Caruso is another one that's playing phenomenally defensively. And, of course, our superstars are playing defensively and putting effort into that side of the ball. Kyle Kuzma did some things that I wanted to mention that I really liked. He was playmaking. He had some fantastic passes yesterday in that game. And that's all I really want to see out of the young fella. My biggest problem with Kuz has been that he doesn't really affect everything else when he's not scoring. If he's not scoring the basketball, you really don't see much of what he does show up in the stat sheet, and I just feel like that's a disservice to his capability. I know when a guy doesn't have potential in other areas and they only are one-trick ponies. Kyle Kuzma is not one of those guys. He just has to do more of what he's okay at to get good at those things. So I want to see him continue to be a playmaker out there. I think we should be giving him opportunities to create for himself and get out in a fast break and run off pick and rolls and things of that nature. I think he's a better pick and roll player than we've given him an opportunity to show. I think we should probably try to get him in some pick and pop situations, some pick and then put him in positions to do the triple threat thing and put himself in positions to make plays for others. He has a good velocity on his pass. I saw that from the moment he got on this team. The first preseason game, he showed me that he had passing ability, and he showed me that he was willing to put his body out there for charges. The very first preseason game, if I'm not mistaken, if it wasn't the first one, it was the second one. We won the game because Kyle Kuzma took a charge down the stretch of the game. It was a game-winning charge, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the type of potential I see in that kid. That's why I'm so hard on him. That's why I'm always pointing out things that I see in his game. It's because he's better than he's shown us, and he has to want it. You just have to want it more. You have to not be satisfied. You have to be willing to listen to coaches and let them help you with things. And I think Kuzma's capable. I'm not implying that he's not, but it's just going to take that type of dedication from both the Laker organization and himself to get the most out of him and cultivate his talent. It's easy to forget about developing young players when you're sitting in a championship situation. We went from more or less being a daycare center to now having really no interest in and young players, but we still have a few of them, and we do have to make sure that we turn them into the best players they can be. Um, and I'm looking at the Laker organization and thinking that's something I want to see us continue to do. The teams that are able to gracefully end dynamic eras are teams that are already investing in their future before those eras end. And for me, even though we don't have crazy game-changing kids on our team right now, the two kids that come to mind on our team that I'm really paying attention to, Caruso to a degree, I guess I'd say three, but Caruso, obviously, Kyle Kuzma, as I'm mentioning, and Talen Horton Tucker. Cultivate those players. Find opportunities to get them meaningful minutes next season. I think if we continue to invest in our farm system, so to speak, continue to invest in acquiring picks, even if they're not meaningful picks, just picks. Continue to play the draft as best as you possibly can, even though we're in this position of power. If and when LeBron James retires, if Anthony Davis decides to do something else with his career, we will have the infrastructure to continue to build, and that's ultimately what you want. It's flexibility, and the Lakers talked about that when they hired Rob Pelinka. The importance of remaining flexible no matter what, and I'm holding the Lakers to that. As a fan who's been watching this thing for 20-something years, I've seen many eras come and go, and what I don't want is for this era to end and we find ourselves in a situation where we're looking at bad players and no picks. I can tell you, if you're a Clipper fan, you hate the future. You hate what it looks like right now because you got no picks. You got Paul George, who looks like he's not going to be any better than he is right now. You got Kawhi Leonard, who's probably going to leave you at the end of next season because he has an opt-out. And you have no picks to show for it. You know, you've given away all your picks. You've given away good players like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Gallinari to bring back Paul George, and that was it. It was ill-advised. It was desperate. OKC knew that they were trying to get this done and done fast. They knew that they couldn't pull off the Kawhi thing without doing it, and they fleeced those boys. And because of it, they don't really have much of a future. That's the kind of thing I don't want to see the Lakers find themselves involved in. I understand that we've given away a ton of picks for Anthony Davis, but our flexibility situation looks so much better because of the youth of Anthony Davis and because of the fact that it looks like he's staying. And if he stays, Pantheon great player, all we got to do is continue to keep a good team around him and keep a number two on deck. And that's barring LeBron retiring. He may not even retire. For all I know, but LeBron keeps this up for another 6 years. I don't think he's going to want to go anywhere because he's never had a home, in this league. I think Cleveland, if he were to leave the Lakers, I could see him returning there. But that's the only place I can honestly see him going. I mean, I think he wants to be a LA Laker. We're winning now. We know what it means for his legacy in terms of remaining a Laker and continuing to win championships. It's more so meaningful than probably winning anywhere else. So it's like, okay, everything's pointing toward the Lakers being able to keep their superstars together and maybe LeBron James staying at this level for another 3 years. As to which we just keep a good team around them and they're going to continue to dominate and win. So our future looks bright. And that's the way I like to see it stay, regardless of of what happens with these two guys. So that is ultimately the thought on that. Keep working on the youngsters, keep cultivating them. So this series, it's hard to talk about this series, even though you want to start. Yesterday's game was a complete blowout. Everybody on the Heat that's really, really good, not named Tyler Hero, is pretty much hurt. The Lakers are bigger, faster, stronger, tougher, more talented. The only thing the Miami Heat can really do to help themselves, in my opinion, is two things. One, shoot often, make all of those threes, and play the best defense your life can possibly play, and hope to God that it works. You have to be hot and stay hot. And the other thing is to make it dirty. You got to try to even up the score. So Like in situations like this, it's really difficult to win a game, regardless. If you're this outmatched and you're starting to lose players, Dragic going down pretty much into the series, in my opinion. I don't think there's a way to come back from this, even if you try to get hot. LeBron James and Anthony Davis are just going to rebound over you, shoot over you, and end this series. It's just hopeless, almost, to be honest with you. And I don't think it's anything else that the Miami Heat can hope for other than the Lakers just going cold. You just gotta hope things fall in your favor at this point, and nothing short of injuries are really going to be your saving grace. You gotta hope Anthony Davis goes down. You gotta hope LeBron James goes down. And if they both go down, boom, now you're suddenly back in the series. Like, that's the kind of thing that you're hanging your hat on. That's why I don't really understand anybody that would bet on this series at this point. Like, it just doesn't look good. Now, if the Miami Heat were able to slay this Goliath, somebody's getting more money than anyone has ever received in a betting situation. This is by far one of the most lopsided things that we have ever seen in terms of a finals appearance, NBA Finals matchup. I think it's unbelievably lopsided. There's nothing you can do. It's almost like Spurs and Cleveland back in, what was that, 03 or something like that, 04, maybe 05, something like that. LeBron's first NBA Finals appearance. This was the last time I seen two teams this lopsided, in my opinion. There's no way. The Lakers have to start playing poorly. you got to make the Lakers play poorly. You got to get in LeBron's head. If you're Jimmy Butler, you got to try to pick fights with people. You got to dive in people's legs. You got to talk about people's mamas. You got to do whatever you can to get LeBron James and Anthony Davis thinking about anything other than basketball. And that's the kind of muck you got to dig into to win a series like this if you're a team like the Heat. That's how far of a disadvantage they are at this point. They can play better. They can shoot better, obviously. You saw good things out of Kendrick Nunn. Tyler Hero's corners 3-point shot looks absolutely amazing. He had some bankers. So if those two players get hot, we still win a game. I don't think Miami is incapable of winning a game in this series. I really don't. Even after what I saw last night, I just know the Lakers I've watched my team enough to know they do at times let teams play well against them. It's inexplicable, but it just happens. That's why we've won every series in 5 instead of 4. We could have swept all of those series if we really think about it. If we played up to our capabilities, seeing as how we mowed through teams, we could have won all those series in sweeps. But for some reason or another, we do take our foot off the gas, and that's when a team like Miami would need to pounce. They need to be able to identify when that is happening, try to take advantage of it. And that's their best hope. They need heroics out of people who don't provide heroics. If there could ever be a day where you get 40 points out of a guy like Tyler Hero, somewhere in this series, that would be a good thing. If Kelly Olynyk has a 30-point game in him, this would be the time for him to pull that out. Derrick Jones Jr. You got to play guys too. Look, we've been talking about how great of a coach Erik Spoelstra is, and I don't doubt that. But at some point in time, you got to say, are you doing everything you can to assure that you're winning? You got a guy that was runner-up for Rookie of the Year on your bench in Kendrick Nunn, and he can't even get any rotation minutes in the bubble? What do you do to lose minutes? It's one of those things where it's like, I understand you're a log jam. You got a bunch of guards. You got things that are working, and you're in the finals. So everything you've done has been done right. But this takes me back to the point that I was making in the other conversation. You have to also cultivate the talent on your team. Your responsibility as a coach is not only to win basketball games, it's to make players better, to make young players pros. And a guy like Kendrick Nunn, he could be an all-star a year from now, and you got him in this situation where he's not getting the minutes he needs in meaningful basketball time. Now, when guys go down, you call his number and he goes completely nuts. I mean, at this point, it's like, I get it. There are different tiers and categories of what and how to measure. So, X's and O's wise, Spoelstra's the man. Getting his team rah-rah and ready to go, Spoelstra's the man. Where I see a flaw is making sure that everybody who needs to play does play. Because you can't have a situation where Derrick Jones Jr. and Kendrick Nunn aren't getting any minutes. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? I know there's this thing about when you get to the playoffs, you shrink your bench. But the logic escapes me. I don't understand it. And the reason why I don't understand it is because you want to keep legs fresh. I don't care how talented a guy is. If you run him into the ground, he's a human body. He's going to fall apart. The best chance you have as a basketball team is making sure that you have an equal amount of minutes divvied out amongst everybody. Over time, you make it make sense to where some games certain guys get certain minutes, and other games certain guys get other minutes. And you read the floor, you see what you can get, but you don't phase guys completely out of your lineup and just shrink your bench to a point where you got 8 guys, 7 guys paying 42 minutes. You're doing nothing for yourself. You're asking for injuries. You're asking for guys to not play well when you do call their number, because they're never going to have any rhythm. They're never going to have any synergy. So, yeah, play none. Play Jones. You have to anyway because of injuries, but at this point, it's like, why didn't you want to? Play those guys. So that's one of the things that I really notice about judging players' careers, and something that doesn't get talked about enough is what circumstances did their coach place them in? Were they in a position to develop properly? And are you seeing a result of them not being able to develop properly because of their coaches early on? These are the type of things you wonder about when you watch players develop and not make it, or not live up to their draft stock. It's because sometimes the coaches just don't cultivate them. The organizations just don't put a whole lot of effort into developing these guys. So, yeah, I want to see the league do a good job with that going forward. I want to see a better job done of that. So, yeah, that's on my mind. What else? Plenty. Shout out to Rajon Rondo. Can't really put a price on what he's doing. Just want to continue to see him healthy out there, continue to see him doing just that, playing defense, getting guys involved, allowing LeBron to be the recipient of open court passes so he can fly all over the place. And it just makes us a better team. You can clearly see Caruso's not being asked to do as much offensively, and because of it, he feels more comfortable out there. He looks more comfortable out there, more confident out there, to where he can just kind of defend, get the ball, make some quick decisions, and really not being asked to do much more than that. And he's flourishing. He's been fantastic for us. So shout out to Caruso as well. Yeah, man. Just want to continue to see our guys doing well. Anthony Davis is a monster. He's too much for everybody. I haven't seen a team that the Lakers have faced yet that have an answer for him. None. Even teams with defensive centers that are tall, they have nothing for this guy. This dude is by far the most talented big in the game, and he's still very young. So, he's about to win his first championship. I think we all can pretty much agree that is going to happen. I don't think anybody would be surprised to see the Miami Heat mail it in at some point in this series. It's just a lot pointing at that. Even in the first game, I think they have a lot of fight going into this next game. Don't get me wrong; I don't expect them to roll over. But if they get blown out again, it's going to be tough to wake up and say, let's keep going against these Lakers. Giving your all in situations where you don't have nothing, it takes a special type of person to do it. I believe Jimmy Butler is capable of that. I don't know that everybody on that team is that way, especially if they're hurt. And Dragic falling to the foot injury is a killer of the spirit as well. That's a gut punch when you're already being stumped out. So I have this series going in 5. I'll stick to that. I know my team. We just fall asleep sometimes, and I think there'll be an opportunity for Miami to play well some point, especially when they get used to what type of rotations they're going to have with these injuries. Once guys get used to having roles where they're going to get a lot of shots, you can see a guy like Kendrick Nunn going for 30 at some point in these finals. So with that being said, I'm going to stick to 5, but man, does it look bad. It looks horrible. And I feel bad for Miami Heat fans, man. Condolences to you guys. I wanted to see you guys healthy in this series, regardless of how the outcome was supposed to go. I take no joy in seeing this happen to you guys at all. So that's what I got, man. My name is BDL44. Go Lakers. Peace out.